Good morning, students. Let's have today's class regarding stability testing. I would like to discuss about the stability testing for herbal medicines, which we have discussed yesterday, which was not much comfortable for me, and to the internet facilities and all these things made us to be got little not clear. So I thought of just to give you at least some information about that what we have discussed yesterday. The stability test medicine for herbal medicines, the most important aspect in the evaluation of the stability study of a product is its storage condition. Actually, storage condition means actually this plays a major role for stating about the shelf life actually. And also you might have seen sometimes refrigeration is needed, sometimes we need that certain away from the light, and it should be the darker places it should be stored, like that we are giving some storage conditions. So these all decided by the stability study, understand, stability study. So even for herbal medicine also it is must for us to have this stability study, because it is necessary for them to give this expiry dates, and to the shelf life period should be specifically mentioned clearly. That makes even for them to have certain what we can say certain decision or certain parameters for even transporting from one place to another. The purpose of stability testing is to provide proof on how the quality of the herbal products varies with their time under, and the influence of and what are the things I just made. First, how you are going to do the stability test, that means to influence of the environmental factors such as temperature, light, oxygen, moisture, all will hinder. So other ingredients which is may be present in the product, in the dosage form, particle size of the drug also plays a major role, particle size of the drug, and microbial contaminations, which is very common, which is very also, it will also affect the product. So microbial contaminations, trace metal contaminations which may be come to the product can also be we have to see that is also very important. And the leaching of the container, some of them leaching, sometimes the containers may, the what is the quality of the container, what is the material which you use the container may have a leaching capacity of leaching out, and sometimes it will lose the potency by means of certain solvent systems, certain excipients which you have used, and sometimes the preservatives which might have used might be lost, and these all things have to be considered to establish a recommended storage condition and a shelf life for a product. So this I am again stated this slide to give you some idea about the herbal product varies with the time under environment factors such as temperature, light, oxygen and moisture, and other ingredients and excipients which will be present in the dosage form, and the particle size of the drug, and microbial contaminations which plays a major role, which will be deteriorate the product, and trace metals contaminations which may also be present in them, and you can see leaching of the container. So these are the points which you have to remember to write and stability study. Why we need always, whenever you are writing answer, it is needed for what purpose we are doing this standardization, what purpose we are doing this stability study, what is its advantage, and where you are doing, and significance. These all things are very very important, and point by point you have to mention. So you see this environment factors such as temperature, light, oxygen and moisture, which will have the stability study have to be monitored, and in the various under, and also ingredients and excipients, other ingredients and excipients in the dosage form, particle size of the drug, and microbial contaminations which may also have to be identified for the stability study, and trace metals contamination which may be present in them, and leaching of the container. So it's clear for the students to write these points. What is the necessary for to have a stability study for a herbal formulation, and to establish a recommended storage condition and shelf life. So by means of all this, we are analyzing and then we are establishing a recommended storage condition and a shelf life period, or a shelf life is determined for a product. So the stability study to be done at least for 3 batch of products. The product from, for example, this product for it's not very clear for you to slide. Just a minute. It is not a big deal. Just I have to make a small adjustment so that it can be clearly you can see. Understand now? I think if you just now if you see, you can see the stability study should be performed on at least 3 production batches of the herbal product for the purpose, that is, for example, for the purpose of, or proposed shelf life. That means we are proposing sometimes 2 years, 1 year or 2 years. That is proposed shelf life, which is normally denoted as long-term stability and perform under natural atmospheric condition. Because in natural atmospheric condition, how the shelf life of the product is very important for the stability study. So, with the help of modern analytical techniques like spectrophotometry, UV spectrophotometry, calorimetry, HPLC, HPTLC and other instruments, and by employing proper guidelines, it is possible to generate a sound stability data for a herbal products and predict their shelf life, which will help for improving the global acceptability of herbal product. Why I made this global acceptability of the herbal product very clearly to mention, because we know that in global acceptability is the biggest issue for herbal products. So this, when you study the stability study and when we perform the stability study, and if we give the relative herbal stability study, even if it is very clear that nobody can object, that is our claim of the herbal product usage. So type of herbal testing, stability testing, even here also, just a minute, here also I made the slide to be not correctly, because I think it's sorry for a delay. And you see the type of stability testing. In this, the major aim of the pharmaceutical stability testing to provide reasonable assurance that the product will remain at an acceptable condition. A level of fitness quality throughout the period of the usage. That is what we are mentioning. Throughout the period which they are marketed, a place available up to market, when you want to come also, it will take some time. So, and then it is usage, and also not only that, to the supply of the patient, usage by the patient, and also will be fit for their consumption. Up to their consumption it should not, and also in consumption you will open and they will keep for some days. That time also it should have the preservative value and it should have the shelf life. So until the patient uses the last unit of the product, sometimes there will be a bottle which is having 50 capsules, and until the last, and also if it is a bottled product of 100 ml, until the last ml if he is using, also it should not deteriorate, it should not get spoiled by other environmental factors. That's what our aim, to have this stability testing. Understand? And first one, accelerated life testing. I just take some definition. What do you mean by accelerated testing? What do you mean by intermediate testing? What do you mean by real time testing? These all things, and also these all, what do you mean by stress testing? These all I have given some definitions. That will make the student to write very clearly, and also I made some slide to make it short to focus in that. So listen to the slide or listen to my lecture. That will be helpful for you. I don't want to make it very lengthy, because I know the students how they are difficult to see, and YouTube or the recorded messages or to record the classes is very difficult to listen. Even we know that when we are seeing in any type of videos or anything, more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes we cannot see. So just make yourself to listen at least, and do some other work and you can listen. Understand? Accelerated life testing is the process of testing a product by subjecting to a conditions, stress strain, temperature, voltage, vibration rate, pressure, these all things we are applying to the product and we are seeing whether the product is stable. So we may think that is what is this voltage, vibration, all these things, because it is common definition. Even it is for an instruments also they used to see this is the they say the guarantee period, all these things they used to say, that is all things comes under these type of external pressures. Apart from the environmental normal room temperature, we have to give different types of temperature can be applied, different types of humidity. Humidity and temperature are the main thing which apply to our drug stability study, that you will see in different form. And in the excess of normal service parameter, in an effort to uncover faults and potential model of failure in a short amount of time, that is the accelerated life testing. Now we want to say about real time stability testing. What is it? The product is stored at recommended storage condition which is already recommended, and monitored until it fails the specification which is given. So if it doesn't fail, you are comfortable. If it fails, then you have to think about what is the specification you have made. What is the shelf life you have given. You have to change it and you have to find a solution for it. So stress testing, next one is stress testing. See, accelerated life testing, a real-time stability testing, and stress testing. What is stress testing? Is defined as stability testing of a drug substance or a drug product and a drug product, drug substance and a drug product under conditions exceeding those which is for accelerated testing. So in accelerated testing, whatever you have done, you have to exceed and you are giving a stress. You are giving a stress to them and you are giving increased temperature or increased pressure or increased vibration or increased voltage or increased strain which is given to them, and we are finding out that is called stress. Something stress from outside it is given to the product. What do you mean by intermediate testing? They used to use the word intermediate testing. Intermediate testing. Why we want to see this intermediate testing, accelerating testing and real-time testing? Because these are the words which is used by WHO and ICH for their standard values which is given, which I have mentioned in this preparation also. Understand? So that's why I'm interested to say about this definition. So intermediate testing, study designed to moderate, increase the rate of chemical degradation or physical change for a drug substance and a drug product. So in intermediate testing, it is necessary to see the degradation by physical or by chemical of the drug substance or a drug product which is made. Maybe herbal products, herbal substance, herbal materials differentiated. This is what they made into two categories which can be analyzed. So long-term testing, stability study under the recommended storage condition for the retest period of the shelf life period for labeling. It has to be, when you want to give a label, store in a dark place and keep, and if you are giving a shelf life of 2 years, 1 year, and so it is needed for you to have a retest of a long-term testing is needed for a retest period for a shelf life period to be determined. So this is the slides which I am just giving very fast what we have discussed now. This is somewhat summary. I am giving summary to people to remember. You see, accelerated life testing. What is that accelerated life testing definition? Subjecting it to condition, stress, strain, temperature, voltage, vibration rate and pressure can be given to the product. So in excess of the normal service parameter, normal room temperature, normal room service parameter. Apart from that is an effort to overcome the faults and potential modes of the failure in a short amount of time, in a short period. In a short period you are analyzing and you are identifying. That is accelerated life testing or accelerated testing, accelerated stability testing for the product. Real-time stability testing, stored at recommended conditions which is already given in the label and monitored until it fails the specification. We are just finding out what's the time it gets deteriorated, what's the time it is away from the specification. So then we can give whether our time is right or wrong. If you are given 2 years time, if it is specifically, it is getting deteriorated after 2 years, then your problem is solved. If it is below that, you have to change, you have to find it again, repeat the test. And stress testing, what do you mean by stress testing? Under condition exceeds those used in the accelerated testing and monitored until it fails the specification. And intermediate testing, moderate, increase the rate of chemical degradation of a drug substance, of a drug product. So chemical degradation, or even we told physical degradation also, or physical degradation change of a drug substance or a drug product. So intermediate testing, we have to see the degradation of chemical and physical separately, it can be done. And depending on the aim of the step, the following, there are 4 types of what we have discussed now only, 4 types of categories. One is type of testing, that is accelerated testing, in which temperature which we have done, that is what specified here. The product subjected to be high temperature, humidity, light, etc. That is 40 degrees centigrade, 75% of relative humidity at 3 months and then 6 months interval, it is possible for you to do in a short term. This is an instrument which can be performed for various stability study in our lab. It is possible, and also we can perform it as big, large rooms are also available in certain industries to have lots of products, and it can be computerized, and so that we can find out, we can see what is the product, because humidity, all these things can be maintained by this chamber. It looks like an hot air oven, but it has lot of adjustments and parameters which is available, which I have just shown a video in the class, but today also I have taken another video which can be also given some information about this type of instrument which can be used for stability study to maintain humidity and temperature for various time intervals. And real time long-term testing, here we are using long duration of 25 to 35 degrees centigrade and 35 to 75 relative humidity depending on the climatic zone. We can do it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 18 months and 12 months, or 24 months or 36 months can be in these intervals. We can perform our experiments for long-term testing. Stress testing include the temperature little above, that means it is little high because we are giving stress of 40 degrees centigrade high temperature and increased or equal to 75% of relative humidity. And intermediate testing, which also we have discussed, is conducted under accelerated study. When accelerated study fails, then we are going for intermediate study, long study. That means for 25 degrees room temperature, longer duration of the time can also be performed, and which we can study for these products in herbal products. Forced degradation test, there is another testing which is I have seen, that forced degradation testing performed to provide intrinsic stability assessment of the drug. So forced degradation test also I have given a diagram to know about what is forced degradation study. So that is also makes us to know about what I mean by forced degradation study. What is the purpose of real-time stability testing? You see, real-time stability test manufacturers typically uses real-time stability test to determine the duration of the time that the product will be effective for their customers' use. Understand? For the patient's use. And this provides the customers with what is known as the expiry date, shelf life period of a given product. That is what I have seen. Then I asked, what do you mean by this real-time stability test? So if they ask about real-time stability test, you have to be able to write, and you have to know about what is the difference between the stress testing, intermediate testing and accelerated test and real-time stability test. Like that, you just see, I have made the slide very clearly to make it you to read and again sometimes short questions they have asked, sometimes if they ask various stability test means you just write, add always herbal products and herbal materials, like that you just mention it. That is sufficient. Even it is applicable for all pharmaceutical products. There is no difference. All products are same. Only thing is, one is by means of herbal, another is by means of synthetic. That's very simple. So this is about the chart which I want to show you about regarding this the forced degradation study. That means in forced degradation study, for example, you can see this specifically we can see the forced degradation study can be divided into two, like drug product and drug substance. Even drug product, you can see solid and the solution suspension, they are divided, and drug product we made a solid, semi-solid, external preparations, and internal preparation also semi-solid, gels are available, and also solution and suspension. So you can see what all the tests can be carried for this degradation study, post degradation study of stability study. You can go for photolytic, light sensitive or not, like that photolytic test, thermal and humidity test can be done for a solid, and solution and suspension you can do for acid base, hydrolysis, and oxidative test can be done if it is, because it is solution, it contains usually water soluble components we are using. So drug products, when you go for the product solid, if suppose if it is a solid unit dosage form, tablets, capsules, then you can go for photolytic, oxidative, thermal humidity also have to be tested. And semi-solid like an ointment, cream or paste, and also sometimes gels, which we want to get photolytic, oxidative, thermal and humidity test can be done for this. And solution and suspension, you can see photolytic test and thermal and oxidative test. So this gives, you don't forget, you can write like a chart like, and so that you can impress the person, impress the evaluator, so that it will be helpful. I have just added this because you cannot find in your handout which you are having. Please kindly just have a reference what I am giving and listen if possible, and that will be sufficient. It's not necessary for you to mug up or to make it more effort or more need time for this. Just you can read and make yourself comfortable for writing the exam. So this is one I want to say, just to show you again, to remember what we are discussed, always what we are discussed we have to just summarize. That's why I made it, to make it, that is stability testing methods. If you want to write any questions, or today what a person who have listened my lecture means, they should have to be able to write what are the tests we have discussed. That is, for example, that is the main aim of my lecture. The students should not read again. It's not necessary for them to go back again, because it is just, if they have a knowledge, you can perform your exam very clearly. So accelerated testing, real-time long-term testing, and stress testing, and intermediate testing. This is the 4 tests which we have discussed now. So we will just see what all the temperature which is we are seeing here. See, for example, accelerated testing, real-time testing, intermediate testing, and stress testing. These 4 testing, I don't think the student will forget. So you can see here the product should be subjected to a temperature about that is humidity, light, etc. can be tested for the accelerated testing. Usually you should maintain 40 degrees centigrade and 75% of humidity for 3-6 months have to be performed in a short term period. That is called accelerated testing. You can remember, for example, if you go for real time testing, long duration, 25 to 35 degrees centigrade, 35 to 75% of relative humidity in 3, 6, 9, 18, 24 and 36 months can be performed for long duration for real-time long-term testing. An intermediate is also same, like conducted when accelerated study fails at 25 degrees or longer duration, as we have shown in the real-time testing. It can be go for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. It can be performed in the intermediate testing, and also you can perform the degradation of certain chemical and physical can also be performed. That is what in the definition we have seen. And in stress you can see I have given in a red color form, because include effect of temperature above 40 degrees centigrade and equal or above or more than, that is for example 75% of relative humidity can be given as stress to the product and can be performed for herbal formulation. So this is about the instrument which I want to show you. You just see that is XB OTS is a company. They specify there are many instruments there. This is one instrument which they are shown in the video, which is, you can see that is like a box like, and you can have it is installation. He is showing a can which is present. Usually you should use a distilled water. It is having a pump inside the chamber, and distilled water only we have to use. That is, again and again he is showing that distilled water, pure water, because we are going to use this water should be maintained the humidity of this complete chamber. That is very important. And it looks like an hot air oven. You see there is a knob like which you have seen in the lab we have in the front, but this is in the side. This will have the temperature control. What type of temperature you want. For example, it is 40 degrees centigrade or 30 degrees centigrade or 50 degrees centigrade. You can just turn the knob and keep ready and power on, and then he is showing the door in front. There is a display is there. This is not computerized. Even you can computerize machines are also available. You can just, it's a door which is open. Inside also there is a glass door which is having a lock. And when you open the glass door, he is opening and showing. There is some spaces are there where we can keep everywhere you can keep the samples, and you can find out whether which rack and which place you have kept. These all have to be denoted in the display. And also you can see even in the computerized means we can just make it very clear what type of samples, even if there is a very large stability testing machines are also available. So he is showing about the display, and in display we can see there is upper arrow and lower arrow. First you have to press the calibration 1, and then after calibration you might have done what is the mean by calibration. You want to make the instrument to be stable and to be calibrated for certain temperature which you have denoted, and which you are already knob is done, and the temperature you have to be we can change. Even stability study we need humidity, and it takes some time for the water to be maintained for the humid, and which is kept there in the tank, and there is a distilled water, and the humidity can be analyzed by means of testing. We can make it according to the humidity range. First they will keep in maximum, and they will keep in the lower level of the humidity, and temperature also they will maintain, and so that we can find out whether the instrument is in the proper way. And after calibrating everything, that is humidity, temperature, time, these all should be the parameters have to be in the touch screen display, which is a simple instrument. Nowadays it is connected with computer. It is very easy for you to go inside and you can give the datas. This also we can get printer and we can get the datas very clearly. So he is showing that how the timing and how the calibration can be made by the upper knob, and the lower knob will be there, so you can increase and you can decrease and you can change. And once everything is over, everything is selected and we have done, calibration is over, then we can select which, that is for example, suppose if there is 2-3 samples are kept also can be done. And there is an alarm is kept, and that is what he is telling now. Alarm is there, and it will give an alarm for you and to make it off and to remove the product and to make for the further study can also be done. So this is what very interesting instrument which is for stability testing we are using in a instrument. But not only this, actually there are very big, like you can see sometimes when you go for a microbiology lab, we can see it is a big incubators are available like that we have. And that type of thing only last class I showed a video which is where a company which is having a stability study itself they used to perform and they used to give the certificate. So this is what about the video, and this is about the accelerated testing. Accelerated testing that is the amount of heat input required to cause the product failure is determined. So that is what they made in accelerated test. I made it in the short. Some more the point if you want to write about accelerated testing. High pressure accelerated aging stability testing chamber with 2 chambers can be used, like this instrument which we are shown in the video. Also we have seen this is another instrument. This is also having stainless steel chambers inside, and distilled water can be used for their humidity stable. And this in accelerated testing projected to predict the shelf life or used to compare the relative stability of an alternative formulation. So that is also can be done in accelerated study. In addition, temperature, stress condition applied during the accelerated stability testing, or moisture, light, agitation. Agitation also can be done. Vibration can be given, gravity, pH, and packing also. Different types of packing you can keep inside, and you can analyze whether the packing is also whether it has any influence to the deterioration can also be determined. And in accelerated testing, the testing of the sample are subjected to stress in an in a refrigerated after stressing and then assayed simultaneously. So this is the part which I want to say. Assay is very important. The content, whether the content of the component, not the external appearance. We want to see whether the content, whether the marker which is kept there, there is what marker, the constituents, you will see the reference sample, and we will compare with the sample which is kept in the stability instrument, and testing whether the concentration is still existing, or it is degraded, or it is reduced, or it is increased. Sometimes it may be increased, sometimes it may be changed into another form. So the adverse actions will be happen. So these all things have to be stressed. Even you have to identify the sample by means of giving assay simultaneously. You have to perform. And further, in accelerated stability testing, comparison of the unstressed product with the stressed material is made within the same assay, and the stressed sample recovery is expressed as present of unstressed sample recovery. So stressed and unstressed, different type of increased temperature, lower temperature, normal temperature. So as we have tested in the pharmacological study, control study, this is also how to be done for stressed and unstressed in accelerated stability study. In accelerated stability study, projection is recommended to conduct of 4 different stress temperatures minimum. You have to go for 35, 40, or you have to start from 25, 30, 35, 40. Different types of temperature have to be performed in a shorter period. Real-time, long-term testing, you can see it allows to significant product degrading under recommended storage condition, and no measurable degradation occurs, and must permit one to distinguish the disintegration from inter-assay variation, and you can see to distinguish instability from day-to-day ambiguity. The reliability of the data interpretation can be increased by including single batch of reference material. A reference material, that means comparing with the reference material for which the stability characters have been already established, already we know. So we are comparing with that, and we see that whether our new product or our product in the market is perfectly, it is giving any, without any degradation, can be analyzed by this real-time stability study. Stability of a reference material also include not only the material, reagents and instrument. So reagents as a consistency which is you have used also, it is necessary to perform, and instruments also used throughout the period of stability study have to be performed for the testing. And the stress testing, we have to remember only 2 points, that is to identify the degradation product, which can help to usually consider establish the degradation pathway, and to evaluate the efficacy of the drug, that is almost we know that, and use the development suitable packing information for quality, strength, purity, integrity and the product during the shelf life. This is common for all the testing. And retaining sample testing is also, this is an retained, that is, it is usually practiced for every marketed product to which stability data are required. In this study, stability samples are retained storage for its least one batch a year are selected. And if the number of batches marketed exceeds 50, if it is large amount exceeds 50, stability samples of 2 batches are recommended. And at a time first introduced, if suppose introduced first of a product in the market, the stability samples of every batches may be taken, every batches if it is a new one, which may be decrease. If there is more large, only 2% can reduce to 5% is a marketing batch as a later stage. But initially you have to take all batches, and the testing can be done actually for intervals of 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24, 36, 48 and 60 months can be done for this stability study. This conventional, for example, this conventional method of obtaining stability data on the retained storage sample is known as a constant interval method. It is called a constant interval method. So students have to remember that is retained storage samples or retained storage samples retained, for example, you see here, we mentioned retained sample testing. So retained sample testing can also be mentioned as an you have interval method or constant interval method. Constant interval method. So stability testing by evaluation of market sample is a modified method that involves taking sample already in the market and place and evaluating stability attributes. So this you have to remember, this type of testing inherently more realistic since it is challenge the product not just in the idealized retained sample storage. So what I want to say is the storage condition and the stability storage condition of the ICH and the WHO, they are given this test, that means, for example, intended storage condition, stability testing method, test temperature and humidity period of months of International Council of Harmonization, what they have given, and WHO, what is the WHO? It is not, it's just slightly hidden. Just a minute. I can just make it down so that it is possible. Even when you are lecturing also, don't worry about this type of issues. Just if you make it down, slight, and I hope it is possible for to see. And see here, sorry, that is about WHO as per not even the test temperature and the humidity, that is what slightly hidden of as per the WHO. You can see here the stability test and also the 4 columns I have made. Room temperature, long term, and 25 degrees for ICH they used to say 25 degrees and 60 degrees of relative humidity, but in WHO 25, 60 and also 30, 65 and about even 30 and 75 can also be performed. And for next one is for even intermediate also, for example long term for room temperature they have given, and for refrigeration long term and accelerated you have see that is long term 5 degree temperature for in ICH and 5 degree even in WHO, and even accelerated is 25 degrees centigrade and 60 percentage of relative humidity, and WHO also says 25 and 60 relative humidity. And I have not mentioned about the room temperature, how they are maintaining, especially in intermediate it was different for it was same, and also accelerated. Intermediate means 30, accelerated means 40 degrees centigrade, and humidity also you have to 65, 65, 75, 75, that you have to remember accelerated. And long term freezer, you can see freezer minus 20 is given by ICH and minus 20 is the same which is given by WHO. Only thing is WHO given one more extra 25 and 30 you can perform in accelerated, and in long term you can go for 25, 30 and also humidity 65 and 75 is also can be performed extra. That is what you can just remember the tabular column also very easily, and it can be denoted in your experiments, in your answer paper. So this is what I want to show it about the freezer, refrigerated, room temperature and intended storage condition. And there is some zones which we want to know about, that is for example type of zones in the world climatic zones, name of the world climatic zones, for example zone 1, zone 2. Zone 1 is climatic zone, zone 2 you can see temperate zone, zone 2 is you can see Mediterranean or subtropical zone, and zone 3 you can see hot dry zones, and zone 4A they denoted, and they said it is 4 only, they denoted hot humid tropical zone, where you can see stability climate zones and how they are denoted. Zone 1 usually 21 degrees centigrade and humidity 45 percentage, and zone 2 is 25 that is 25 degrees centigrade, and this one is 60 percentage of relative humidity, and zone 3 30 degrees centigrade and 35 percentage of relative humidity. And the present zone which we are saying 4A, it is 4 before it was 30 degrees centigrade in 65 relative humidity. This is what they have given in by the WHO. We are specified, so which I want to show, because here we made a method of climatic zone, how you are maintaining for the stability study. For example, zone 1 to 14, you can see that is 25 degrees centigrade, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, for example, and 9, 12, 18, 24, 36 months can be done for sampling point of testing. And long term for climate testing for zone 3, you have to go for 30 degrees centigrade and 35 relative humidity, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 and 13 and 36 and 24 and 36, not 13, 18. And long term climate zone 4A, that is 4A climate zone I have shown in the previous slide, and it is also zone for 1 to 2. You can also add it, that means 30 degrees centigrade, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24, 18 interval months have to be done for the testing. Long term test of climate for zone 4B intermediate. 4B I did not mention, it is also slightly variation in the temperature, 30 degrees centigrade and 75% of relative humidity, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24 and 36. And accelerating condition, 40 degrees temperature can be maintained in 75 relative humidity in 3 and 6 months interval. So for all zones. So this is what I think I want to give you about the details, and you can see all the time interval point for the sampling. So we will discuss in the continuation of this after this sampling and the testing stability study in the next class. So I hope this, you please try to utilize this class, because I was unable to give these details yesterday. That's why I called you today. Thank you for being.